Hello everyone, my name is Bodo, and I received a request from a friend on how to keep a computer running smoothly even after it's been going for a few years. To start things off, I just want to say I'm not trying to sell you any of these products. Everything that I'm going to mention is free, and I do recommend all of them. My job for a living is pretty much to speed up computers and make sure they're virus free. So what we're going to start with is Ccleaner. Now, the main benefit of Ccleaner is to clean out any junk files that it may find. So you can see I did an analyze and it found 1,513 megabytes, which is about 1.5 gigs. Your scan will probably take a little bit longer than mine did. I have a solid state drive, which means things move pretty darn quick. So it goes through and tells us exactly what it found in the different areas. Usually Chrome is probably going to have a lot of it. Chrome has become a real memory hog lately, and if your computer is running slow, you might want to check and make sure to see if Chrome is running. So I'm just going to run that cleaner. It says this process will permanently delete files from your system. Are you sure you wish to proceed? I say that's fine. I just hit OK. And then it goes through and deletes. And this is the part that may take a couple seconds. On your computer, it may even take a couple minutes, and that's fine. The highly debated topic on Ccleaner is this Registry Cleaner here. So you can go through and scan for issues in your registry, and some people will say that cleaning out your registry helps your computer keep moving along as it should. It's not uncommon for me to find several hundred registry errors. However, I don't think there's any genuine benefit to cleaning out your registry. In fact, it may even cause more problems than it solves. Essentially, the registry is a database for your computer. It's able to pull different settings from it, and that's just a very, very basic definition of what the computer's registry is. So if you go through and delete registry entries, your computer can run into different issues as it goes. So you can do it if you want. If you're going to clean out your registry, I do recommend using Ccleaner because they're a much more reputable company than other registry cleaning companies are. They also give you some other tools. It just tells you what your startup programs are and what exactly they're doing. Helps you find duplicate files. You can run a system restore, and there's a drive wiper, but I definitely don't want to wipe any of my drives. Their most useful tool is this Uninstall Tool here. It gives you a clean uninstall of the programs you use. So let's say I wanted to get rid of Adobe Reader. I would go here and click Uninstall, and they would remove Adobe Reader and all of its associated files. And that's a great thing to do because even whenever you uninstall a program, there are remnant files that are still left on your system. This program and Revo Uninstaller are both very good for removing the program itself and all associated files. Okay, so that's Ccleaner. The next thing that I always recommend is Antivirus. Personally, I use Avast. If it'll pop up over there. If not, I can just drag it over. I have Avast Internet Security. Avast is a free program in itself, but I prefer to use their paid version just because, like I said, I work in removing viruses from computers, and whenever you see enough, you start to get really scared. So I went and got the paid version of Avast. However, the free version works totally fine, and I love that one too. What's great about this one is it gives you different options for the scan. You're able to scan for any browser plugins you might have. I'm good. But what I always use is scanning for outdated software. So you can see I have a few things that are out of date, and this is actually a great example. Adobe software and Java software are the ones that you really want to keep up to date. Adobe Flash is notorious for always needing updates, and Java is the one that everyone complains about. You might remember it was either a year or two ago, there was a big security exploit in Java, and everyone had to update to the latest version as quickly as possible. I remember doing that in the job I worked for before this one. Avast is handy in the sense that it shows you what's currently out of date. Java in itself gives you a pop-up to let you know that it's out of date right now. I didn't know that this was out of date. Vlc Media Player is what I use to play videos, and Adobe Air is just a complement package to Adobe software. It helps all of those run, and I'll update these later. If you don't know, antivirus is what hopefully prevents you from getting viruses. Some of the more common ones are Avast, McAfee, Norton, Kaspersky, and Malwarebytes. And I also have Malwarebytes on my computer, which is this one right here. Malwarebytes looks a little different, but it runs very well. Whenever you scan, it goes through and does several things. One of its most important is the heuristic analysis. The heuristic analysis scans for viruses that could be. So it goes through your computer and it looks for anything that it would recognize from its database. The heuristic analysis is analyzing your computer for things that it believes might be a virus. Whenever it gets done with it all, it gives you a list of options. I'm almost 100% sure it'll find nothing on my computer because I run this thing like every day. However, whenever it does find something, it shows it what it is. It tells you, usually it's going to be a potentially unwanted program, or PUP. It'll say PUP dot and then a name. And you can see if you recognize that name. If you do, then you can tell it to ignore it. If you don't recognize it, you can tell it to quarantine it. If you quarantine it, it is essentially removing it from your system in the sense that you can't access it anymore and that it can't access your system. So that's the basic gist of Malwarebytes. And I'm just going to cancel. Yes. Alrighty. Finish. Exit out. Okay, so there's Avast and Malwarebytes. The next thing I want to tell you about is updates. It is super important to update your computer. I'm going to use Windows Update because that's what's built in. If you're not set up to automatically install updates, I definitely recommend you do. Windows Update is a very simple tool. A lot of people complain about it. I'm not really sure why. People say they'll get hundreds of updates every month, and I can tell you that that's definitely a lie. You shouldn't be getting that many updates at all. If you are, you've got a serious problem. I get maybe at most 10 updates a month, and it takes me a couple of minutes each time. It's not that big a deal at all. If it isn't checking for updates, there should be a button around right here, and this will be yellow or red instead of green. You just click check for updates. However, if you are set to automatically install, it'll be green right here. But if you want to check anyway, you click right there. So it'll start looking to see if I have any updates I need to install. It said the most recent check was today around 4 o'clock. And no updates are available, it says. So that's great. Nothing left to do. Alright, those are my basic tips for keeping your computer running smoothly. You really shouldn't have to do anything else besides those. Yeah, I can't think of anything else, really. That's all I do to keep my computer running fine. If your computer's getting old, that could definitely be a reason for it starting to run slow. I'd give a computer 5 years of life before I would consider replacing it. That's what most laptops are good for nowadays, and that's what most people have is laptops. Besides that, I can't think of anything else. I hope you found this tutorial useful, and I'll be sure and give you a ton of links and other information in the description. See you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.